everybody, and welcome to the extra special Thursday Healthy Living broadcast that I'm doing today with the amazing Liz Palmer. And I am actually, we're focusing on the WEBA Women in Business Amplified community today, but we also are streaming outside of that. So we're on YouTube, we're also on LinkedIn and on my personal profile, because this information that Liz has for us is way, way too important for just us to know about. So we want to share this far and wide. Liz Palmer, she connected with me. We're no relation, actually, but we probably were soul sisters a few past lives ago. But I think Liz connected with me when I was living in Adelaide, and she said she's coming over from the US. Now, this would have to be 6 or 7 years ago. It was quite some time ago, and we connected. And she's a bit of a global traveller. And we catch up often as we can. And she has what's impressed me about Liz is her passion for travel. One, because I just go, man, I want to be all this travel that she does, but also her knowledge, her extensive knowledge in nutrition and brain health. And when we were talking about diets and lifestyles, and she's got an amazing lifestyle, but the whole thing is, when real passion around brain health and getting and keeping our brains healthy. And the whole point of this is because the one of the biggest diseases that's affecting, it's not actually a disease, I believe, but affecting us today is Alzheimer's and dementia. So Liz, without further ado, I'm going to welcome you to the broadcast. Hello, how are you?
Hi, Adair, my sister from another mister.
Yes. So, and I'm sure we were connected in past lives. So welcome. And just what I'd like to know is, like, if you could share with people what brought you to this point today. So where have you come from in terms of your own journey with your brain health?
Well, one of the questions I pose to people is, how many times have you gone to the doctor and the doctor said, let's take a look at your brain first? Because that's the most important thing. It runs our personality. It runs our ability to move, to walk, to do everything. Never, zero, zippo. So what interested me in brain health, I've always had an interest in natural health. I grew up in a family of 12 children. I was the 8th of 12 children. And, my parents did the traditional medicine, and I was very young. And I said no. I became a vegetarian really early. I started fasting when I was 19 years old, when before fasting was a popular thing. And I was always very interested in natural health. Well, when I was 19 years old, I had a pretty severe car accident where I was going very fast, and I rolled my car many times without a seatbelt on. Shoes flew off. I was 19 years old. I recovered pretty quick. I climbed out my window, and I did see a chiropractor for a neck injury. But as I was growing up, raising my children, I had a lot of health issues that it was a mystery to me. Why I was, number one, gaining so much weight, why I couldn't digest my foods. I'd eat dinner, and at midnight I'd throw up what I ate, or things would come out undigested. And then I was starting to get really dizzy. And I just thought, growing older sucks. I was entering my 50s and just really struggling with my health, but never knew why. And it wasn't until I was working, became a nutritionist in 2001. And I was a rep for a nutrition company that did functional nutrition. We had fantastic trainings on functional endocrinology, functional blood chemistry, and functional brain chemistry. So I was at an event where they were teaching practitioners how to do functional neuro exams, how to examine your brain. And they said, who would like to volunteer? I'll volunteer on the group. And the Dr. Zielinski, did my eval, and he said, in front of the group, he goes, oh my God, you're fucked. What? He's injury, he could tell. with my evaluation that my right cerebellum had been injured many, many years ago, 34 years earlier, and no
Wow.
one ever caught it. And it
Wow.
was affecting everything in my life. And what this really scariest point was when I was driving home one day. I'd lived in Portland, Oregon for 40 years, and I couldn't remember how to get home. Pulled off the side of the road and said, what is happening?
That would have
So
been
as soon as I got back to Portland, I saw Dr. Zielinski as a patient. He definitely evaled me for a right cerebellar injury. Now, this back part of the brain, this affects your balance. So vertigo was definitely one of my issues, but it also affected the left frontal lobe. Now, the left frontal lobe of your brain runs your digestion and your nervous system. So if you know anything about your nervous system, you know we have a parasympathetic system and a sympathetic system. When we're in sympathetic dominance right now, I'm talking, I'm jovial, and this is not when you digest. When you're in parasympathetic, that's when you're sleeping, you're digesting, you're relaxing, you're meditating. I was stuck in sympathetic dominance. So I couldn't digest my foods. I couldn't relax. I was always hyper. Sleep was an issue. And after my treatment, he said it would take at least a year. But with his excellent guidance and just my lifestyle, within 6 weeks, I was feeling better. Within 6 months,
wow.
I was feeling much better. Well,
Wow.
then I became a neuro nerd. I mean, I would see people on the street. I could look at their pupils and go, "Oh my goodness, you're not good. Something's wrong with you." And I started. I actually had a massage therapy school that was a functional massage school for brain injured, so a left brain or right injured, and I had a teacher instruct several massage therapists how to do it. So I was definitely a nerd about it. And now what I like to do, instead of stopping people on the street, telling them their brain is fucked, I like to try to educate people
Yeah.
on the importance of taking care of your brain, learning what signs to look for, because doctors won't do this for you.
No. No. Well, there's nothing. There's really nothing in it for them to have healthy people, is there? Like,
Well, you and I both know how we feel about that.
Mm.
What's happened to the whole medical profession. So, learning about how to take good care of yourself, how to take care of your brain, how to nourish yourself is a passion of mine. And then I continue to, now I just
Nope, we seem to have
be
lost Liz.
there
She'll come back in a minute.
so they can
No, you just cut out there for a moment. So you were saying it's a passion of yours?
Yeah, it's just a passion of mine to share with people so they can empower themselves. I do believe that you can reverse dementia and Alzheimer's with the proper analysis and the proper treatment, but I would like everybody not to get there. I don't want to be one of
Yes.
those. 2 out of 3 diagnoses for Alzheimer's now are women. Bad news. Alzheimer's is a leading cause of death in Australia for women. And the percentages are alarming, what they think in the next 20, 30 years. 2/3 of us will have dementia before we're gone. So
Yeah.
I want to be empower women, especially women, but men as well, in order to take over themselves.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would be the single biggest contributor to having poor brain health that leads to Alzheimer's and dementia? What would be? Is it one, or is it a whole lifestyle thing?
Oh, well, I think it's a lifestyle. A lot of people, especially here in Australia, we've had sports injuries, maybe when we were a kid, fallen off a bicycle, had something. So that's the first thing I want people to recognize is, how is their past? I just talked to somebody yesterday who had an MRI brain, and she'd never had one before. And there were parts of her brain that showed an imbalance, probably from her childhood. And she's 72. So really analyzing how has your head been? How is your brain? Did you have accidents? And even a fall that you don't hit your head can affect your brain. But I think the leading cause of the increase of dementia is lifestyle, our poisoned food, and our how we have a high carbohydrate. Um, that's what we eat when I and our seed oils. Seed
Yeah.
oils that are
Oh,
used have caused an incredible increase
mm.
in brain disorders.
And we don't realize how much of that stuff we ingest. Like if we go down, even if we have a pub meal, we think, oh, it's reasonably healthy. It's got a few chips. It's got a steak and a bit of salad. And you wouldn't even probably give it a second thought because it looks fairly healthy on your plate, although you go, well, the chips maybe, but I'm going to have them just this time. But the chips are cooked in the seed oil, and the salad with the salad dressing is full of sugar. So
And seed oils.
and seed oil. So whatever you're popping into your body, it is, and your steak is likely to be grain fed. It's not going to.
Correct. Absolutely. And chicken and grain fed. And so our
Yeah.
brain is mostly fat, right? We're
Yeah.
fat, a little bit of water, but what runs our brain is fat. So,
Mm.
for my generation, when I was in high school, it's like no fat, no fat, no fat.
Yeah,
Bad, bad, bad,
it was
bad.
vilified, wasn't
Now
it?
it's
Everything's
bad,
so
bad,
fat.
bad, fat.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it is, I mean, you and I are kind of on the same path in that way. When you give up seed oils, it is really, really hard if
Mm.
you go out of your house.
Yes. Yes. So, I mean, my favourite when I'm in the eating season that allows root vegetables and, well, that, what allows, or where I choose to have the root vegetables and the more carb loaded sort of fruits, I can go and I can have sweet potato chips, which are absolutely delicious, and I love them, but they're fried in seed oil. And so then I get to make this choice as to whether I have those chips. You've been with me when I've done it at the beach bar. So, so it is interesting that, we know this stuff. And when I guess ours is a journey of education. When we know this stuff and then we go, all right, well, I'm here, I'm making this choice. It's the best possible choice that I can make for my health. And I know that I'm going to have this, but it's not going to be something that you would do anymore. Like, you're not doing it every week. So, but then you go home and you air fry your own. So we've got Lisa
Yeah,
here.
duck fat fries.
Pardon?
Duck fat fries. Yum.
Duck fat fries. Oh, yeah, bacon fries, bacon fat fries. We've got Roz here saying good day, and she said protein's critically important, and we will talk a little. Oh, that's Lisa. Hello, Lisa. Haven't seen you for a long time. How are you, honey? Roz, we can talk a bit about protein and how important that is, but we can also, Roz wants to know what seed oils are. Now, this is really interesting because I didn't know before I started doing training as a Wild Fit coach. I had no idea. I'm going.
They have faked us out. Faked us out.
Go on, take it away. Hang on.
The first seed oil that was destroying our health was cottonseed oil. So they had all this cotton and all these seeds, and they go, oh, what do you do with all these seeds? Oh, we can make oil out of them, right? Press them. Well, it turned out to black cook. It looks like petroleum.
Yeah.
So then they put hexane in it, and then they bleaching it, and it came out with this beautiful clear oil. And it is not seed oil. It is poison. So Crisco was hydrogenated many years ago. I don't know if you use Crisco here, but they put hydrogen in it to make it solid.
Is that like rapeseed oil? Grapes, not
no. Crisco was what my mother used to use when she would bake pies, and it makes things flaky. But it was hydrogenated cottonseed oil. That's what it was.
Okay.
So back in the 70s, they started to realize that rapeseed oil, which rapeseed is grown, it's beautiful here in Australia. The yellow fields of rapeseed, and it's toxic. There's 2 chemicals in rapeseed that are toxic. So they learned how to remove those toxins out, and again, put the hexane in it. So it is the canola oil. And also the other seed oils that are damaging for you are safflower oil, seed oil, palm oil, pretty much any oil that when you pick up any processed food that has oil, it's going to be a seed oil.
Put it back. Put it
That's
back.
why it's so hard to give up, because you pretty much have to give up any processed food. So no chippies, no crackers. So it's in everything. And the reason why it's so bad for you, our natural fat around our brain cells allow the neurotransmission. So when you want to say, I want to wiggle my toe, a neurotransmitter goes through, connects, and you can wiggle.
Oh, I think we've lost Liz again.
Fat seed cells around.
Okay, so Liz, can you go back to wiggle your toes? We just lost you there for a minute.
So,
can you go back to wiggle your toes? We've got Lisa
I need to call.
Have some more questions, and I'll pop them up in a moment. Okay. So just go back over what happens when our brains, when we have the seed oil, and you're saying there's a receptor in the brain that. So correct. Can you go back to there?
Around all of our cells are fat. It's a layer of lipid fat. That natural fat, which the good fats to eat are ghee, olive oil, coconut oil. Those are the okay fats. All of the other oils are no good. Replaced with hydrogenated poisonous fats, and you can't transmit anymore. So your fats your brain starts to turn to mush. Have you noticed when you were a kid, how many phone numbers did you know?
I still remember.
How many phone numbers? I remember my number when I was growing up, but how many phone numbers do you know now?
Because my grandma's number was 56, and then my uncle and auntie's was 34, and we were 197. So they were, and then we moved to a bigger town, and then we were 2205, and then when they put all those numbers in front of it, that was the end of it for me. So no.
That's just a good indicator of what's happened to our brains. I mean, we have the attention of a goldfish. Is it really the problem with social media and so much, or is it really a problem with our brain? And you know that anybody that has a metabolic syndrome, which 80% of Australians have metabolic syndrome, whether they know it or not, it's coming. Yeah. Or they have type 2 or type 1 diabetes. That is now called Alzheimer's type 3. That is, you're so much more likely to have end stage dementia if you're diabetic.
Yeah.
So it's an alarm right now. Yee.
We have got a couple of comments here from Lisa, and Lisa says she's a qualified nutritionist as well. So we're in good. We've got a huge brains trust here, and it's great. So the more we can get out there and educate people on the dangers of, and she's also saying it's scary what's in food, especially processed foods. But like I was saying before, it's scary what's in the food. Like if you have eggs from caged eggs, you're likely to be eating grain. And if and that's not good for your bodies. And if you're having meat from grain-fed cows, then you are not, or grain-fed chicken. You're actually ingesting the biotoxins that are inside of the grains that are there to protect them from being eaten, or eaten too much. So and it can all impact us. So it does. I think it does. It does make because I know. Let me just ask you this, Liz. I've just got a little thought bubble just popped off in the other direction, but that happens, doesn't it? When with the grains, because I know we've talked about seed oil, but with grains, how many people have like a big meal of pasta or have some bread, and then just feel like their energy levels have slumped, and they get a foggy head, and they just can't focus. And so what would be the connection there between having grains and good brain health as well?
Well, grains, just like so much have been altered over the years.
Mm.
So grain that has, like, let's take wheat for instance. Wheat has been hybridized, genetically modified, and when they store wheat in a bin, in a huge silo, they have to make sure that no mold grows. So
Mm.
they take the inside of that silo and coat it with mercury, so it kills the mold. But some mold does grow, and when then they process it, you can't tell where that wheat is from. And it looks beautiful, and you make your pasta or whatever with it. And it's really a toxic mold and genetically modified. And our guts are being destroyed. So there is definitely a connection between our gut health and our brain health. You know, we have a lining around our gut, the which is supposed to keep everything out from our bloodstream. And so leaky gut is basically that line being destroyed with these toxic foods. So
Mm.
then when you have ingest certain, like so many kids have allergies because
Mm.
they've got leaky gut.
Yeah.
And these toxins go into the bloodstream, and they can also pass the blood-brain barrier. Now, the blood-brain barrier was supposed to be um, very intact. But if you have leaky um, gut, you may have leaky brain. There are signs of leaky brain. And, you know,
Oh, I've never
I'll
heard of
just go
leaky
for one
brain.
second on these vaccines. The vaccines, these mRNA vaccines or bioweapons, I'd call them, that they made, they had nanolipid particles around the spike proteins, and they are going into the brains of people
Mm.
because it's bypassing that barrier. Very
Okay,
scary.
so I just want to circle back to the leaky brains. So, like I think most of
Yes.
us have heard of leaky gut syndrome, but leaky brain syndrome.
It's the same concept, is that the barrier has been penetrated. So our brain has a very different immune system. We have
Mm.
this really complex cells in our body. We've got different T cells, B cells, lymphocytes. It's a very complex immune system, which has,
Mm.
when intact, it's a miracle. It's amazing. But the
Mm.
brain has a barrier. So we don't have all those lymphocytes, leukocytes, T cells in our brain. We just have what they call microglial cells, which are cells that are supposed to attack anything that comes in there, which it's never supposed to.
Mm.
And once you have microglial cell activation, once the brain gets a signal that there's something in there, you can't turn off. There
Oh.
is no drug that they know of, and there is no nutrient that they know of that calms the microglial activation. That's
Mm.
why once this starts to happen, it's very difficult to reverse.
Okay. Oh, wow.
One
Okay.
of my favorite
Well,
doctors that talks quite a bit about Dr. Karazian. You know, yeah.
okay. We're just going to have to pop back to Ross has a question here. She wants to know, she knew of canola oil and safflower oil, but what about peanut oil? So we're just sort of circling back to
One of the
oils at the moment.
Peanut oil is popular because it can take a high heat, but peanuts, the problem with peanuts is they grow a lot of mold on peanuts, and it's the same thing. It
Mm.
acts as the same as seed oils. It is not really healthy at all. I would not do
And,
peanut oil.
and that's why I believe that peanuts aren't actually even nuts.
They're
They're just,
legumes.
they're what? Legumes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, and Ross is saying avocado oil is not good. No,
Not
avocado
so
oil.
avocado oil. If I were to choose any oil, that if I couldn't get avocado oil, would be the one oil that it does come from a seed and it is not processed as bad. So, but try to find mayonnaise without any of these toxic oils. You can't find mayonnaise.
Well, yeah, olive oil. I make my own mayonnaise,
Well, there you
and
go.
it's like it's it's an egg from a grass-fed chicken, free-range chicken, and just some a bit of garlic, and then whiz that up, and then pop in some olive oil, and there you've got your aioli, and then you can add other things if you want, just to spice it up a bit. But the things like walnut oil, any of the nut oils
They go
are okay.
rancid very, very too fast.
Sorry. Oh, we lost you there.
The nut oils are they get very rancid very fast.
This is the thing with fresh, unprocessed foods. So the faster it goes off, the better it is for you. It's well. Have you've seen those? Things where they've had their burgers for like a decade and they still look pretty much the same as what they did when they came out off of the line.
My chiropractor has some McDonald's hamburgers that are 15 years old now. He has it displayed out, and it looks like he just bought it, 15 years old.
Yeah, I know. And that if you think about that and you think about what that does to your gut health and your brain health and your overall health, when you're ingesting a lot of these things that are, it's just, it makes me shudder. It really does.
Well, it's, when I start to think about it, I get very down because I think, how are our children? What's going to happen with our children? Because they're raised on these foods that are destroying their health they're perfect, customers for big pharma. Big food, big agra, they're all in it together. And we have to be so educated, and really what you're doing, creating a community, creating a space, shopping at farmers markets, support growers, is really the only way if we want to live long and happy lives. And it seems like the rest of the world is going the wrong way.
Well, I actually think that more and more people are coming into this, what WildFit and Eric calls the food revolution. And Lisa's saying about the processed foods like McDonald's and Hungry Jack's and Burger King and all those, if it is preserving food for that long, how much toxins sit in the system forever? And it's like our bodies, and that's actually part of the our fat cells absorb the toxins, and they hold the toxins in our fat cells. And so as we get bigger, our bodies get more toxic, and then sort of so releasing that is got to be good for your body, because I know that if you're overweight, you've had those. I've probably got toxins in my body from when I used to eat McDonald's. So it takes a lot to actually get that stuff out of.
It's really our system's trying to defend itself.
Yeah.
When our body has toxins, our body accumulates fluids, our body accumulates fat. Yeah. And, I look at fat people now, and I don't like to fat shame people, but for our culture to put fat people as, the picture of health, no, it's a toxic person. When they're that fat, they're really loaded with toxins. And I really feel for them, because you can't just lose weight. If you lose weight too fat, you get too fast, you get sick. And it is a challenging thing. And their brains aren't healthy when they're that fat too.
No, and I know. I mean, I was 140 kilos, which is for the Americans over 300 pounds, I think. And you'd also.
I was 260 pounds. Yeah.
Yeah. So we both like in terms of our background and our history, we both have been through that, and and we understand what it's like, and that feeling of, I guess, helplessness, and being able to not have any control over what it is we eat, and feeling like we're at the mercy of whatever else is around us, our external circumstances. So, and Lisa is saying, she's got a couple of points here. She's saying that's why people have a lot of allergies. And I'd have to say, Lisa, I had asthma. I was diagnosed with asthma in 2009. It was like the year from hell. It was actually my wake-up year. You know how you have to have a train crash of a life for something good to come out of it? Well, 2009 was mine. So doctor said, you have asthma. And I said, will I grow out of it? So the doctor said, no, you're going to have to manage it, unfortunately. So I only, because maybe childhood asthma, kids grow out of it. But I relied on puffers. I had puffers up until the last couple of years, until I really got into this really healthy lifestyle, eliminated dairy and wheat from from my diet. And don't get me wrong, I still have some cheese now and then, and I do occasionally have a little bit of bread, but it's not a staple now. And my body copes much better with it. So what I've noticed is that I haven't had a puffer for, I can't remember the last time, because I just, like the doctor said, I would have to manage it and I would always have asthma. So that was that expectation. And now to be able to go, well, I actually don't have that anymore. I don't
Well,
need
there's another thing we have in common. I had an adult onset asthma as well that I ended up in the hospital for many years, and it's leaky gut is definitely a big cause of the asthma. So,
And Lisa herself, she's 100 kilos in 2016. She lost 40 kilos in 8 months, Lisa. So, yeah, so getting your body to a healthy state. The biggest thing for me around that was around focusing on the weight, and then I started refocusing on my health, and then the weight took care of itself. So there's a tip for you: focus on your health.
well, the popularity of Ozempic, the drug that is.
Oh, we've lost you there again.
Am I back?
Yes,
Yeah.
we got you back. All
Am
I
I
heard
back?
was the popularity of Ozempic.
Ozempic, yeah. Oprah Winfrey now is talking about Ozempic, but some of the side effects are devastatingly, and they can be lifelong. And it's not a drug that's, a drug is never going to solve 99% of the drugs that they've created for Alzheimer's. Nothing. Millions and millions of dollars to try to create a drug to help dementia, and all zero. They don't work. And using drugs to late and to give that message to our young people and to anybody really is not where it's at. But the big pharma doesn't want us to. They'd rather sell us a drug with hope instead of making it is hard to change your life.
It is
but
hard.
when you feel better, it makes it easier.
The thing with that is it's not your fault. It's not your fault that if you find yourself in this position where you've got no energy and you've got brain fog and you're feeling like you're overweight and your body's all sluggish. It is actually not your fault. It's all the stuff that we get told and we get taught. I totally bought into the low fat. I've totally bought into the fat is evil, because that was the narrative at the time. That was what we were taught. We were taught low fat yogurt, low fat milk, low fat mayo, low fat everything. But then we weren't educated on the fact that it was loaded with sugar, because otherwise it would still taste like crap. So it was low fat. And then when you look at, you track back and you go, well, where's all this coming from? It's actually, if you follow the money, you find that it was actually the sugar industry that vilified fat. And so then we get confused about the difference between good fats and bad fats. And a confused mind does nothing. And all the marketing that's thrown at us. So if the uneducated are at the mercy of all of this stuff. But once you start educating yourself, it's like you can never unknow this. You have to.
Okay. Once you open the door to the truth, you can't close the bedroom door, and it's like
that's it. The door is open. The horse is out of the barn. Let's get on that baby and gallop her all the way to the finish line. Lisa's saying as well. Thank you for your input, Lisa. It's great to have you here. She's saying the optimal Ozempic, has been linked to pancreatic cancer. Now, I have to say, as an obese person in my 30s, I wouldn't have cared. I would not have cared. I would have stuck a needle into me. Well, I had a gastric bypass, and I'm still having the impact of that now. So that, like 30 years later, the weight has mainly stayed off. It's gone up and down a little bit, but I've never gone back to 140 kilos. But at that point, when they know that you're that desperate. So what's that other one? Ozempic, Duramine is another one that makes you. I've done that. The Duramine. What's it called? The stuff that you inject in this. It starts with an S. So I can't even remember. So there's these drugs that we think it's a quick fix, and I always used to go for the quick fix because I didn't know any better. So, and I go, wow, if I can learn this stuff and change my lifestyle to be able to be, in my 60s and living on a boat and eating healthy and enjoying life, I can pain-free, no pain in my body. It's and exceptional. I would say I've got excellent brain health. I forget my kids' names sometimes, but that might not be on accident. No, that's a joke. It's a joke. I love you all, love you kids. But it is something that we can work to optimal health, and it's possible. So let's let those horses out of the barn. Let's know this stuff and educate. So Lisa's also saying more money for the drug companies. It's not natural. Everything in the system has cause and effect. Absolutely. And Roz is still here. Hey, Roz. Those dollars need to be used in natural therapy research, but they'd still use it unwisely. But the thing is, there's no money in that. There's no money in fasting, so nobody promotes it. And education is the key. And
I saw a headline and it said that fasting can cause heart damage. Did you see that?
Oh, what? No.
Yeah, that was just a headline like 2 days ago. Don't fast. I mean, it's whatever the mainstream media is telling you, do the exact opposite.
Do the opposite. That's interesting because I know, and I'll only briefly touch on it like you did before, but when we're at the height of the vaccines, and I'd heard that I read actually in an article that said the umpires' whistles are startling the players of soccer so much that they are collapsing on the fields.
3 collapsed this week.
And I'm going, like, seriously? That's only just been a thing that the umpire's whistle is startling So it's, to me, Liz, that's grasping at straws. So, it's...
Yeah, they have to. So, when you talk about the effects, I do have residual brain issues, and that accident permanently affected my neck. So I have to see the chiropractor regularly. And so my biggest symptom now is I'm just really, I have enough gut things here, and I get if I'm in a really noisy environment. So I don't handle noise very well. And as I grow older, and a lot of these things, it's not about growing older, it's about accumulated brain health and what's happening. So, I am going to do a class, going to do it on Facebook Live. I keep on getting off the horse and then getting back on. But since this is Brain Awareness Month, I am going to put together, I have all my presentation to talk about what you can do. That's going to be happening. So,
all right. So I know we've sort of had this lovely conversation. We started off and said, what's the one thing that's actually going to be the biggest threat to our brain health? So we've talked about that. And now let's just have a bit of a conversation about the things that we can do, and we have already, but in terms of how can we really focus that? How do we know when we've got good brain health? What does that look like, and the things that we can do, some specific things that we can do? So,
some of the indicators of bad brain health. I mean, I think that we've normalized the fact that we don't know who, you can't remember somebody's name, or you can't remember that you put your keys in your refrigerator. Those are good indicators that things are going a little bit south. So don't let those pass you by, of those little brain blips. They are meaningful. It is showing some kind of deterioration. So paying attention. Our brain needs a few things. We need hydration. So a lot of senior citizens, and I know your mother was, I don't know, was she in a home at the end?
No. My stepfather, Mum looked after him for 3 years after he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's and dementia. And then he went into a home for 2 years.
Okay.
And after that, so he passed away October the year before last. Yeah, but that was sad to see him deteriorate like that.
Yeah.
Mum was
Well,
sharp as a tack until the day she died.
Alzheimer's affects not just the person with Alzheimer's, and Alzheimer's doesn't kill you. Now, dementia is a broad term. Alzheimer's is in the dementia category. So dementia can be many things. So it's not just Alzheimer's. There's specific Alzheimer's when the tau proteins start to break down, or there's specific diagnosis for that. But what I was going to say about people, seniors that are living, a lot of seniors get confused, and it is they're not drinking enough. They're not hydrated because you're not thirsty when you're older. You lose that thirst quench. So hydration, and just a little caveat: hydration. Do not drink tap water. Tap water is filled with fluoride, which is very toxic, and it is damaging to your body. So and drinking, now the word out is about plastic drinking, is that microplastics are in all your plastic water bottles. So chuck the plastic water bottles, get a good hydration filtering system, whether it's at the tap is what I prefer, and drink. So that's number one.
I heard you say that the other day on our team call, Liz, and I thought, you know what? Glass isn't practical when you live on a boat, but stainless steel might be a really good option instead.
Stainless steel is good. However, you have to make sure that if a magnet won't stick to it, that it's not real stainless steel and it's from China.
Wow. So, see, I learned something new again. You're so well of information. I'm going to go shopping with a magnet.
Well, when you start to realize how plastics they did a study. This is freaky. They took a custom people over a 6-month period of time. 350 people were in the study, and they tested their arterial veins, and they took inside the cardiovascular system. 30% of them had clogging in the vascular system of the heart from microplastics.
What?
They said the average person ingests a credit card worth of plastics a week.
What? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So this was a fairly new study. So it's made me so aware. Chucked my wood cutting boards because I was using a plastic cutting board. I store my food in glass. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's really interesting. So I'm going to be going shopping with a magnet, and I'll be using stainless steel, because stainless steel doesn't rust either, and everything else does on a boat or it breaks.
Right.
I've had to breaks it. Yeah.
Also, the straws that they're giving us now, the paper straws. Well, guess what? They're lined with plastic. They're more toxic than plastic straws. So don't drink out of a straw. And if you get a Starbucks, if you get a coffee with one of those plastic lids and in a plastic cup or a paper cup, plastic. It's coated in plastic, and the top has plastic.
Yeah.
So you got to carry your cup around with you. Stay home. Never go outside. Grow your own food.
I know. And you know what? Seriously, Liz, it does become overwhelming. It can.
It keeps me awake at night sometimes.
Yeah.
So that's why I need to make my passion into my project, to educate people.
Well,
if you go to Bali, you can. Dare and I were both in Bali this last month, and we know what plastics is doing to our planet.
Yeah.
It's really bad in Bali.
And that's what Lisa's saying. Bottled water is killing our environment. The plastics and the leakage into the water, and
and plastics also mimic estrogen. You know that, right?
No, I did not know that. Oh my God.
It's similar to estrogen. And do we wonder why our children are wanting to transition their genders? And do we wonder why little boys have moobs, the man boobs, and we're giving them estrogen mimickers in our plastic water and in our food. So, plastic-free life is really crucial. But let's stay on the subject here, because we can drift off really easily.
Oh no, there's so many things. And all right.
Hydration, number one.
Hang on. Can I just say this to someone who shall be remain nameless? I love my takeaway coffee. You can still have takeaway coffee. Just take your stainless steel cup with you and say, can you fill this up with coffee, please? You
Yeah,
can
and
have
even
it.
if they
Oops, we've
you're
lost
just
it.
transfer it over, carry your cups. I have so many water bottles and cups everywhere now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
like my takeaway coffee too, but once you're aware of it, it's hard to really. I see everybody sipping it out of the little sippy cups, and they're breathing in and sipping in plastic every sip.
yeah.
So um,
Lisa's just saying that she bought the eSpring and fills the bottles into the fridge, no plastic for 10 years. That's brilliant. And I have a Zazen water filter, and I think we've all got, like, as we all can do as much as we can towards having the best possible products and putting the best possible quality into our bodies.
yeah.
So now the next thing, Liz, yes, because we can keep.
So what else does the brain need other than
Yes,
hydration? Oxygen. So what does
yes,
that mean? That means breathing, of course. So breathing exercises, you talk about the breathing exercises. So doing intentional breathing and
mhm,
exercising. So making sure you walk. And if you walk after dinner or after a meal, it gets if you have any of the glucose and whatever you're eating, it gets it into the cells much faster. So make a habit of exercising after you eat and exercise regularly, and that's getting oxygen to your brain.
yeah,
Without oxygen, you die within a few minutes. So
yeah,
you need hydration, oxygen, and then you need fat. So you need to stop the no fat diet and make sure that you're eating the good fats. And
mm,
I know Lisa suggested that protein is very important too. The older we get, the more protein we need. And it seems like, especially with seniors, I went to my mom, she was in a senior home. They give her
oh, lost you again.
I mean, am I back?
Yep, got you back. We got
Okay.
up to your mum being in a senior home.
What they feed them.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah,
Carbs, 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 carbs. That's all. They
yeah,
feed them carbs. It's horrible. So we need hydration, oxygen, a good quality fats, and we need our brains to work. So if we're not reading, and I wish that schools would bring back cursive writing. It's so important for our brain to
mm,
write, to read, to stimulate our brain, and not just veg out in front of the TV. We're not actively engaging our brains. So reading and writing and activating the brain
mm,
and relationships are really important because relating. I mean, I think the pandemic was a really horrible experiment that we all saw. What happened? I mean, it almost broke me. When they tried to keep us away from one another, cover our faces. I couldn't smile. I wasn't engaging. Everything was artificial in a screen. And it really affected my brain and my personality. And I know I'm not the only one. So,
mm,
interaction with other human beings and interacting and having good conversation and keeping our brains engaged. But if you look at the American lifestyle, we get up. This is a perfect way to degenerate your brain, right? Get up in the morning and have a cup of coffee with dairy and, not caring what you're eating, and maybe a bowl of.
no, we've lost her again. I think she might be coming back. Let me think. A bowl of cereal for breakfast. Then you might have a protein bar for.
Your Kellogg.
Okay, Liz.
Am I back?
Yes, we got you
I'm
back
back.
again. I was trying to. I was making up what you would have in the morning. So you would have your coffee with your dairy in it. You would maybe have a bowl of cereal, and then at mid morning you might have a protein bar, and then for lunch
Or a donut. You get to
or a
the
donut.
office, you have a donut.
Yes, yeah.
And then for lunch, you go out and you have a can of Coca-Cola maybe. And for the mid, I don't drink that, but I think a lot of people do, right? Then you have a lunch that's filled with seed oils, carbohydrates, etc. You come home in the afternoon, you have a little slump, you eat a candy bar because you're tired, you want a little boost or you have caffeine. You come home, you're too tired to make dinner.
Have a coffee or a Coke.
Right. Then you put you're too lazy. Well, it's not you're too lazy. You're too tired because you've worked hard. So you put a heat and eat in your in the refrigerator, in the oven, eat that, high in carbohydrates. Maybe you have a bowl of ice cream for cereal. You fall asleep watching Netflix and you're too tired, or you have a drink when you get home. You have a couple cocktails or beer, and then you go to bed and you're fitful because you're not properly nourished. So you're not eating, you're not sleeping well. And then you are a perfect example of brain degeneration every day. I wanted to tell you the Kellogg story if you don't know this. When Kellogg's, the developer of cornflakes, do you know this story? Why he invented?
I do, but I'm not going to say anything.
Okay. So he thought that the problem with men in this world were they had too high of a sex drive and they were not appropriately behaving. And
he was a purist fundamentalist, wasn't he, in terms of his Christian beliefs?
He invented cornflakes to drop the testosterone of men. You can look it up.
Yeah.
Now, how crazy is that we feed our children something that drops their hormones? So anyway, that's the perfect example. And then, of course, you don't exercise and you get, you're overweight, you're too tired, and you're degenerating every day. And then you look and go, I have dementia. Damn this dementia. Well, it was your lifestyle. So, there's many things that you can do if you find yourself in a demented, in the beginning of dementia or really struggling. There's a lot that you can do. I won't necessarily talk about that today, but first you need to find out why your brain is struggling, because there can be many reasons why you have dementia. It can be an accident when you were growing up or a recent head injury. That's a big one here, especially for men here in Australia. And it's really never been addressed. It could be toxins that are in your brain. You could have mold in your brain, heavy metals. You could have some kind of exterior damage to your brain that was caused by that. It could be your lifestyle that's causing it. It could be genetics. There's a gene called APO3 gene, which is one of the genetically connected dementias. And if you have APO3 gene, you want to make sure that you have a lifestyle that is really strict on brain health. And then you could have that metabolically degenerated brain from your diet and lifestyle for a long period of time. So you really need to determine, why am I having this? And there are lots of testing that you can do to do that. And then you can develop a program for regenerating brain. I have a simple story. One of my friends who's a health food store, she came, this woman had dementia and her husband would bring her in. She couldn't really be on her own. And 6 months later, he came back in and she was doing great. And the only thing that he did was remove the seed oils and give her MCT oil and coconut oil.
So she wasn't going without any oil. She was still having oil, but just removed seed oil and put in coconut oil, which is MCT oil. Brilliant.
And
Brilliant.
she just that alone. So if you nourish your brain properly, and then there's exercises and there's other things that you can do. And of course, great supplements when you need them for specific brain degeneration, you can restore. And I'm a good example of that. I thought I was going to be a dementia patient before I turned 60. And now I'm getting closer to 70 and I'm doing great. Get to travel around the world. And I still have a hard time remembering people's names, I have to admit. I remember my phone numbers, though.
If that's come with you throughout your whole life, you can just go, that's. But I guess the thing, I just want to acknowledge Lisa again, because this is, and we can't go into it too deep here in this forum, but I do, but sending love and hugs to you and your mum, because I know my mum had heart problems as a result of the vaccine as well. It's never been talked about, but she when she passed away, I think it sped up the end for her. So it's just it's awful, and it's terrible that we have to go through this. But my heart goes out to you, Lisa, and to your mum.
Yeah, sorry about that, Lisa. I
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
11 brothers and sisters, and 10 of them took it, and
Mm.
one
So
dementia, one thyroid cancer, one heart disease,
yeah,
um, and it's really hard to watch.
it is. And we have someone else here who has, we don't know who they are, has had too many strokes. Well, um, and I'm wondering, like, strokes, is there any relationship between what's happening in the brain and strokes? Uh,
Well, again, what I said, blood
mm,
flow, that you need blood flow. So yes, so strokes can be come from anywhere.
mm,
You can have, and these blood clots. I mean, one of the reasons why the vaccines are causing problems is the viscosity and the clumping of these spike proteins. They create
mm,
these, and if it's stuck, one of the reasons why I think that all these athletes is because when they have epinephrine, and when you're athletically, that can break off when you're either sleeping and it's relaxed, because you're relaxed and the veins kind of open up, or and doing something like that off. I had a friend that
mm.
just lost two of her friends this last week to sudden death, and
Oh,
they don't know what happened, but and these concepts that we're talking about are also going to be helpful for general health all over, and vascular health,
mm,
because
mm.
vascular health is so important for everything in our lives.
Well, I think that's, like, your knowledge is amazing, and I'm so grateful that we're here today talking about it. And I definitely plan to, we'll have more conversations, because there's so many different pathways that we can take, and so many different things that we can talk about. And it might be nice to, at some point, just we'll pick something, and maybe go deep, and see if we can continue the education program. Uh, so you were saying, Liz, that you've got a presentation that you do. You've got some things happening, and but what, because we're live in a few different places, I'll get the link from you, and just explain what will happen if people register. What will they get from when they register with you? Too.
Well, I am really open to present to anywhere, any avenue that I can have, no
Mm.
charge. I want to share my passion with people
Mm.
and help people.
Yeah.
I have another really good paying flow of income. So I really have not relied on income as a nutritionist for a long time. So I usually just give away my information, not give it away, but just really out of love, support people in their pathway.
Mm.
So the brain that I have by step notes, and it talks about a lot of other things, like some of the drugs that are causing dementia that we don't even know about. So it's just a half an hour presentation that I was going to do on Facebook Live, but again, I'm willing to do it anywhere locally. I also have a website, Beaming Brain, and I've got a couple assessment forms on there. So if you want to go and do a neurotransmitter or a metabolic assessment, you can do that. And and then I got my little live chat bot on there, so you can message me from there. Um, and yeah, that's about it. Just putting together my presentation. I am
Mm.
leaving for the United States on the 4th of April, so I'm going to schedule this before, probably next week. So I don't have it scheduled yet, but I can give it to you when I get it down, because I have a lot of Americans and Australians both.
Yeah. Well, Lisa's looking for the link, and what I'll get you to do is, because we're live in a few different places, I'll grab the link from you and I'll put it in the comments where we are live. And Lisa, you're welcome to connect with Liz on her Facebook profile. I haven't quite figured out how to show the names on this new studio that I'm watching, like that I'm using. So I haven't had her names up here, but um, it's Liz Palmer, Lizpalmer. So you can find her, or I can even connect you
Yeah,
to.
I'm sending you them on your beaming brain. Okay. I just
Yeah.
sent you the 2 links, and I'm still working on them. Oh, no, I've lost you. Where are you?
No, I'm still here.
I know you can see me, but I can't see you. That's all right.
Okay, no, that's cool. We've got you here, and it's about time to wind up. It's been an amazing talk, and we can do it again. I think I'd love to chat with you again sometime soon, and maybe pick a specific topic. Like I said, we drill down a bit further. So thank you to Lisa, being very active and engaged, and there were some people here that have made comments, and we're not quite sure who you are. So I'm thinking it's probably from the Women in Business Amplified community, because we're streaming live into there. And thank you all for joining us. Really appreciate you being here and your input, where you have had input and making comments and asking questions. And Lisa's just saying sharing the info is just fabulous. So it's amazing.
Well, Lisa, I think you and I would have a lot to talk about. So let's connect up, because, as nutritionists, I love the community feeling of us all coming together and helping other ones.
Yes, I think it's brilliant. Thank you so much, Liz. I appreciate you, and have a wonderful time in the US. And I look forward to seeing you when you get back
soon, and I'm going to see you soon, so which is great.
I know we'll see you in real life, but I will see you before then on virtually for sure. All right, don't go anywhere. We'll have a little chat off air. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Bye.